Hello everyone and welcome to Evolution of Metal Gear Games. Metal Gear is a 1987 action-adventure stealth video game developed and published by Konami for the MSX2. Players control Solid Snake, an operative of the Special Forces Unit Foxhound, who goes on a solo infiltration mission into the fortified state of Outer Heaven to destroy Metal Gear, a bipedal walking tank capable of launching nuclear missiles from anywhere in the world. Snake's Revenge was released in 1990. A change to the original Metal Gear formula is the fact that the player now begins the game with a combat knife and a handgun already in their equipment. The A button is used for firearms and explosives as in the original game, whereas the B button is used for a melee attack with a punch or a knife depending on which one is assigned. Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake was released in 1990. Solid Snake must infiltrate a heavily defended territory known as Zanzibar Land to rescue a kidnapped scientist and destroy the revised Metal Gear D. The game significantly evolved the stealth-based game system of its predecessor and uses a storyline dealing with themes such as the nature of warfare and nuclear proliferation. Metal Gear Solid was released in 1998. The player must navigate the protagonist, Solid Snake, through a nuclear weapons facility without being detected by enemies. When Snake moves into an enemy's field of vision, he sets off an alert mode that draws enemies. The player must then hide until evasion mode begins. When the counter reaches 0, the game returns to infiltration mode, where enemies are no longer suspicious. Metal Gear Ghost Babel was released in 2000 on GBC. Ghost Babel follows the overhead to D format while adding a few new elements introduced in Metal Gear Solid, as with previous games in the series. The objective is to infiltrate the enemy's stronghold while avoiding detection from guards or surveillance systems. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty was released in 2001. The story revolves around the Big Shell, a massive offshore cleanup facility seized by a group of terrorists who call themselves the Sons of Liberty. They demand an enormous ransom in exchange for the life of the President of the United States and threaten to destroy the facility and create a cataclysmic environmental disaster if their demands are not met. Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes was released in 2000 for the Twin Snakes features graphical improvements over the original, new cutscenes written and directed by Ryuhei Kitamura. While all of the original areas and enemies were kept, new ways for the player to combat them were introduced, such as the ability to shoot from a first-person view. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater was released in 2004. The story centers on the Fox operative codenamed Naked Snake. He attempts to rescue Russian rocket scientist Nikolai Stepanovich Sokolov, sabotage an experimental superweapon, and assassinate his defected former boss. The game's focus remains on stealth and infiltration, while retaining the series' self-referential, fourth-wall-breaking sense of humor. Metal Gear Acid is a 2004 turn-based collectible card tactical RPG video game. Acid focuses on turn-based tactics, using a trading card-based system to control the main character's movements and actions. Acid in the name stands for Active Command Intelligence Duel. Metal Gear Acid 2 was released in 2005. The game uses a completely new cel-shaded graphic engine, replacing the darker graphics from the first game, and features an improved gameplay system. It comes with a PSP add-on called the Solid Eye, which is a folding cardboard box with specialized lenses that fit over the PSP screen. Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops was released in 2006. The main addition to MPO is the Comrade system. Instead of the solo missions of previous MGS games, MPO goes for a squad-based approach, with Snake having to recruit allies and form a team of trained specialists. Before each mission, the player must compose a 4-man squad. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was released in 2008. The story centers around a prematurely aged Solid Snake, now known as Old Snake, as he goes on one last mission to assassinate his nemesis Liquid Snake, who now inhabits the body of his former henchman Revolver Ocelot under the guise of Liquid Ocelot. before he takes control of the Sons of the Patriots, an AI system that controls the activities of PMCs worldwide. Metal Gear Solid: Peace Walker was released in 2010. Peace Walker is set in Costa Rica in 1974 and follows the exploits of returning protagonist Snake. He runs the mercenary unit Militaires Sans Frontières. Mission are the actual action sequences of the game, where the player must infiltrate an enemy territory or fight a boss, whereas Mother Base is an army management mode. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a 2013 action-adventure game developed by Platinum Games and published by Konami. In the game, the player controls returning Metal Gear character Raiden. He confronts a private military company that intends to destabilize peaceful nations for profit. The gameplay focuses on fighting enemies using a sword and other weapons to perform combos and counterattacks through the use of blade mode. Metal Gear Solid 5: Ground Zeroes was released in 2014, set in 1975. A few months after the events of Metal Gear Solid: Peace Walker, the story follows Snake. He infiltrates an American black site in Cuba called Camp Omega, attempting to rescue Cypher agent Paz Ortega Andrade and former Sandinista child soldier Ricardo Chico Valenciano Libra. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain was released in 2015, set in 1984, 9 years after the events of Ground Zeroes. The story follows mercenary leader Punished Venom Snake. He ventures into Soviet-occupied Afghanistan and the Angola-Zaire border region to exact revenge on those who destroyed his forces and came close to killing him during the climax of Ground Zeroes. The Phantom Pain encourages players to progress through the game without killing. Metal Gear Survive is a 2018 survival game developed by Konami Digital Entertainment and published by Konami. Survive takes place between the events of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain and follows the captain, an MSF soldier who enters a parallel dimension and establishes a local command center to unravel the mysteries of a strange virus that turns people into zombie-like creatures. Metal Gear Solid Delta: Snake Eater is an upcoming action-adventure stealth video game developed and published by Konami. It's a remake of the original MGS3. Delta's titling emerged from the development team's desires to faithfully reproduce Snake Eater's gameplay and story with modern graphics and enhancements, but without significant deviations to its intended structure.